Night Dreams Talk Radio, After Dark, wants to give a big shout out to all the truckers that listen to our show.
Do you have a paranormal story you want to share on Night Dreams Talk Radio? You could be a guest. Email us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
Night Dreams Talk Radio Network brings you the World Paranormal News with James Creechbaum. Now, the latest news.
I'm James Creechbaum with the Paranormal and World Changes News. Well, an Indian university is to teach doctors about ghosts. A new 6-month course will instruct doctors on how to treat patients who believe they have been possessed by spirits. Also in Papua New Guinea, a cryptid that has been labeled the Ropin has been seen countless times by the native people over many years and recently too. Now, they describe the Ropin as having a wingspan of about 4 to 5 feet, a long neck with a crested head, ribbed wings, and a long tail with a diamond shape at the end. Now, from Australia, I recently discovered 5,000-year-old cave art from Australia that depicts strange beings that resemble what many perceive to represent the modern-day gray alien. These beings were known as Wandjina, which means cloud spirits or sky beings. Also, from Japan, they have a new ghost-detecting stone. And for something that apparently possesses such incredible powers, it's remarkably simple. If there is a ghostly presence around, the device changes colors. Now, when there's no unusual paranormal activity, it lights up green. When there's an angel present, it turns blue. And if a ghost is in the vicinity, it glows red. Tumbleweed drifts engulf cars in Washington. Apparently, there has been all kind of tumbleweeds, massive walls of them. Vehicles were left completely engulfed in huge walls of tumbleweed due to high winds on New Year's Eve. While the sight of a couple tumbleweeds sweeping across the highway is certainly nothing unusual, being forced to avoid a 30-foot tall wall of this stuff is not something that tends to happen every day. Also, a disclosure activist says that next year the U.S. government will reveal everything about alien visitation. However, it remains unclear exactly how he thinks that this information from our government or any other government would release, or why they would release this information so easily. Also, some of the top stories over the last year here's a couple of them. One of them was a mystery creature carcass discovered in Florida. The shriveled up remains of a mysterious 4-legged creature were found recently, and that was not that long ago, on a Titonsville property in Florida. Also, a large eel-like creature was filmed in the River Ness. Now, the footage shows a large serpentine animal swimming away from the Loch Ness, and it emerged, and that recently emerged online also. Next news break, top of the hour.
Good evening, or morning, depending on your time zone. From the Pacific to the Atlantic to you worldwide. Get yourself a cup of Java and find a comfy, easy chair. And get ready for Gary and his guest on Night Dreams Talk Radio, After Dark. And now, here's Gary.
And here I am on Night Dreams Talk Radio. It is Friday. Boy, the week has gone fast. Christmas came and gone. New Year's, we're into a new year. I hope things improve this year over last year and we don't end up in war or something crazy. I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. We didn't do the wacky news, and I got one I got to say. A young couple decided to put a pizza in their oven. And when they went to get the pizza, they had a bonus. They had, a cooked rattlesnake that was in the oven. How can, my wife goes, well, how can a rattlesnake or a snake get into oven. Well, you know what? There's a lot. If you look at how an oven is made, there's a lot of areas where they could kind of come in through. I mean, these things can come through a small opening like you wouldn't believe. Just think about that. Just think about that python. It was in that toilet. It bit that guy when he sat down in that restaurant. I mean, these snakes can come through anything, but can you imagine you're hungry? You cook a pizza, you open it up. Unless you like snake meat, well, you know, you got a bonus.
You sure did. Them snakes are wily, I'll tell you. You got to watch them. But a snake is like a mouse. If they can get their head in a hole somewhere, the body will follow.
Oh, yeah. And even cats could do that. You know, we had a cat one time. I still can't imagine. We had a 1/4-inch opening between the bottom of the door to the floor. Maybe a 1/2 inch when you really think about it, because the carpet was there. This cat could somehow get his head worked in through underneath the door and then come in. You know, it would take a while, but it would work its way in from underneath the door. Crazy.
Oh, that is crazy. So lucky the poor thing didn't get stuck and nobody knew about it and die there, like the one you hit gets up in your server rack.
Yeah, well, you know, another thing, there was a woman busted here yesterday or day before that her child was in the wash machine while it was running.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
You thank God the child survived. And the mother says, I don't know. I didn't know he was in there. I don't know. You know, maybe if, you know, the way the wash machines are made, you know, because some of them are front load, some are top load. You know, maybe if they put a bunch of clothes in there, right? And maybe a small kid could crawl in there and be hiding like, I'm in a tent. I'm in the tent. The mother comes by, slams the door shut, you know, and then turns it on.
The thing is, though, with a child that small, if it's that small, you would kind of want, you know, me personally, I'd want to know where they are pretty much every couple minutes.
I don't know, but I guess if you're a mother and you're watching soap operas and watching whatever they watch, plus, you know, kids can take a toll on you emotionally during the day. So, you know, I don't know.
I don't either. I wasn't there, but I know that I'm sure that the mother was panicked anyway to find the poor child in the washer, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think we got our guest on the show, AJ Ensor. Are you there?
I am here.
Yeah. Well, how's your evening going?
Well, you're an hour early.
No, I'm not. At 7 o'clock our time.
Right.
You're an hour. You're an hour off. I'll blame it on you. But no, all our time is based at Pacific Northwest time, which is right now 7:07. I even gave you an extra 2 minutes.
I just need something to drink and I'll be fine.
Okay. Don't drink vermouth. I tell you, it's pretty bad.
No, I don't drink alcohol anymore, praise the Lord. So, how are you?
I am doing good. And besides me on the line, I got my news director on, James Krishbaum. He's, kind of sitting in with us like he does every night because, you know what? He has no life, so he sits on the nuts. I'm sorry, James. I'm just joking.
Geez, thanks, Gary. Hey, AJ, how you doing?
How are you?
Good.
Now, James finds all our cryptic, earth changes, UFOs, alien report news, and he gets it on the top of each hour, each night.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Wow. I have just got to... I'm gonna switch to a headset here real quick. 1 second.
Okay, that's fine. I'll talk for a minute while you're doing that. But James, you know what?
Works.
Yeah, okay, his headset works, so we're all set.
Okay. Good.
Well, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, a little bit, about what you do and what got you to writing books and, all this stuff.
Well, my primary employment is the production of TV commercials.
Wait a minute. Okay, I can hear all the people grabbing right now darts to throw at you.
Okay. That's my primary job. I make TV commercials. I've been doing it for 2 decades now. As a matter of fact, it's 2 decades this year. And I started off at Southern Illinois University in PBS back in the 1990s, and then I went off to Hollywood for almost 3 years and made movies. Then I got a job at ABC New York, and I went to ABC New York, and it just turned out that I was not a big city guy. You know, it's not for everybody, and it turned out not to be for me, which is kind of weird because I grew up on the Jersey Shore, and even when I was a kid, we had, you know, like almost 30 channels because all I had to do is point the antenna north to New York, or west to Philadelphia, or south to Baltimore, and I had all kinds of channels growing up in the 70s, and most people did not. So I worked for ABC for not quite 3 years, and then I went off to Virginia, where I worked for WRIC in Richmond. And while I was in Richmond, I started making commercials for the Washington, D.C. market.
Uh-huh.
And I had actually trained to make TV commercials as a student, but the opportunity to break into those is kind of rare. You see, if somebody comes along with a $30,000 to $100,000 campaign per month, and you screw it up just one time, you've pretty much pushed yourself out of the profession. So, TV commercial producers are not long-lived, and so, but I've bucked the trend, and I've been doing it now for 2 decades, and I did it until 2012 in the Virginia, Washington D.C., Newport News, that little pipeline from D.C. out to the naval stations up the coast, and Richmond. And in 2012, I had a family emergency, and I left all that behind and moved down to Florida. And that family emergency lasted about 2 years. And during that time, because I didn't have a lot to do, and I was used to having a great deal to do, I went back to college and studied computer animation because